Howdy, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Debauchery Circus campaign here on the Random Rhapsody Network. I'm Matthew R. Dawson, your friendly neighborhood host and GM, and joining me around the virtual table today are Brandie, Brie, Jr., and Steven. Say hi, everybody.
Hello. Hey.
John unfortunately had to work today, so he will not be joining us. Now, we do have some pretty cool things in the works right now. I recently started updating our logo and stuff to a higher resolution, so I went ahead and slapped it on a t-shirt and sent it away for a sample to see how it looks. If it turns out good, I'll probably be making that available to everyone, hopefully in time for the holidays. And speaking of holidays, we have our holiday one-shot coming up in a little over a month now, and it's hosted by Joe Trotter. That's on December 27th, and I believe it's starting at 3 p.m. So make sure you all mark your calendars for that. You can always keep up to date on our show by following us on Facebook at Random Rhapsody TV or on Twitter as @random_Rhapsody. Okay, that should do it for the announcements. So join us now as we dive into the world of Loroupa and continue on with the adventures of the Debauchery Circus. And we're back. So when we last left off, the Debauchery Circus was traveling toward the town of Coltrast, seeking to restore the land to its rightful ruler, the young Lord Edmund Coltrast. As their journey progressed, the team decided to rest from their travels in a fishing village of Turna, along the northern coast of Radagast. After spending a rather relaxing morning in the village, the squad regrouped at the inn for lunch and to discuss their plans for infiltrating the keep. The military-minded Ichabod suggested that they could use the disguise of a circus to enter the town incognito to assess the situation and get a lay of the land. From there, the team would put on a performance so as to spread the word of revolution among the townspeople, with the hopes of evacuating the civilians, while the Red Tusk Orcs distracted the guards loyal to Lord Veritude. With the beginnings of the plan agreed upon, the party separated and went about the town to prepare themselves for the next day's travel. While the team was exploring the village, chaos erupted when a topaz dragon swooped in from the sea and began to lay waste to the town. The circus quickly sprang into action, facing off against the rampaging creature, while the rest of the villagers fled in panic. The dragon harried our heroes from the skies overhead, but Cameron removed this advantage by casting Fly on Willow and Shokan, while Blaznir and Ichabod utilized their spells as well. Eventually, the team began to wear down the monster's defenses, to the point that Cameron was able to send the dragon plummeting down into the sea, throwing him onto the beach, but also allowing Willow to swoop down and pierce it in its brain, finally finishing it off. And so, Debauchery Circus. Once the dragon was finally defeated, the villagers slowly began emerging from their hiding places as you all went to the docks looking for some clues as to what happened and what caused the attack. Willow had seen a fishing boat come into the harbor shortly before the attack, and while the owners of that boat had died, it didn't take long for Shokan and Cameron to find a bag underneath the docks in the water that was filled with gold and some topaz-studded treasures, presumably what the dragon had come to reclaim. As you all stare at this treasure and consider its implications, a question comes to each of your minds, but I need somebody to roll a D100 for me real quick.
I'll volunteer.
Blaznir, do it.
Or, yeah, have Blaznir do it. He never does.
There you go. Yeah, let Blaznir roll.
Gonna be bad.
How can it be bad?
It's gonna be horrible. Listen.
This is the worst question I ever got asked.
Yep. So the question is, what would be your character's major in college?
Oh, I think we've had this one.
I think so too, actually.
That is bad.
Yeah, go ahead and give me another roll, Blaznir.
Okay, this is gonna
Bugonomics.
be Oh, what did I do? Oh God.
How do roll dice?
I don't know. 56.
Okay. When they were a child, what did your character want to be or think they were going to be when they grew up? That's a good one. I think Ichabod, you should answer that question first.
I think what I wanted to be when I was a child was probably a soldier. And I kind of got there in a roundabout way. didn't intend on it. Because I became a paladin first and then had a little stint. So wasn't as fun as I thought it would be.
Fair enough. Cameron, how about you?
Well, I think the Fae are rather quite chaotic people, and so growing up I probably had a wide variety of different things that I wanted to be, where I would expect to sort of hop between each one of them with a short dalliance in between, and it was only visions of the future that forced my hand into focusing on something specific.
Okay. Shokan, you're next. What did you want to be when you were growing up?
I think Shokan always knew she was going to be a wanderer, and she probably just kind of fell into the monk lifestyle on her travels. But as turtles are known to be wanderers, she always knew that's what would lie ahead of her.
It was the only school club that offered free pizza if you joined.
Yeah, great.
I like it. Blaznir, you're last. What did you want to be when you grew up?
He thought he was going to end up being just a typical druid in Druid Grove, but he wanted to be an entertainer.
Okay, I like it. I like it. And, well, now you finally have your chance coming up here very, very soon, Blaznir. That should be exciting. Okay. Well then, Debauchery Circus. As I said, you're all currently standing on the docks of Turna, staring at the bag of treasure you've all discovered there. The villagers are starting to approach you all now, some expressing sentiments of wonder at the dragon's corpse that's currently half hidden in the ocean, while others are hailing you all as heroes. There is a group of women who have pushed past you all, and they're accompanied by some small children, and the women are currently wailing in sorrow over the corpses of the 3 fishermen who had first been caught up in the dragon attack. It's kind of bittersweet standing there on the docks, but others are approaching the mourners to offer sympathy and support, and there's a bit of a division between your group there on the docks and on the shore staring out at the dragon and the women who are currently kind of mourning the deaths of their husbands.
Didn't we also just loot their corpses?
You did actually go running up and
Well-
loot the corpses before the townspeople started coming up.
Not exactly their corpses, more the bag of loot that they had with them.
Now,
Which
Cameron definitely took a
Oh,
tiara off
Cameron
one of
was
the
digging
bodies.
in pockets for sure. I had nothing to do with it.
But
I
more
am
of the
the prettiest
villagers.
princess.
Yeah, you are. You have that tiara on your head right now. Cameron does.
Yikes.
Yes,
This
I
little-
do.
This little rabbit standing there with a big old tiara on his head. But people are starting to come up. More people now from the village. Some questioning what had happened, who you are. Many are starting to applaud you all, and there's a little bit of cheering going on, just acknowledging your defeat of this creature that's kind of half out there in the water right now. But Debauchery Circus, what are you wanting to do?
Obviously, these fishermen were the idiots who stole from a dragon and thought that it wouldn't try and come after them, but I'm probably not going to tell the townsfolk that, because that might piss them off a bit. Basically just going, yeah, those dead guys, yeah, it's their fault the dragon came here.
Well, now, folks, now that it's been handled, there's not quite much to see here. Best you return to your homes and connect with your families. I'm just like, I don't want to do this.
Or, assist us in retrieving the corpse of the dragon.
Well, that too.
Yeah,
We could use it somehow.
it's probably not difficult to find a few fishermen who are willing to help you all haul the dragon corpse in from the sea. It's a little out there, but not so far out there that it would be a horribly difficult task. So you could probably enlist the aid of some who's willing to help you out in exchange for some of the scales and
Sure.
and some of the meat of the animal itself.
I wonder what dragon tastes like.
We can roast up some dragon meat.
It tastes exactly like chicken, actually. It's quite boring.
Cameron, make an Arcana check.
Sure. A 12, because I rolled a 4.
Yeah, that's the same.
Let me re-roll that with Coronal Shift.
Now you've used a few today, haven't you?
Yep, this is my last one.
Got it.
24, much better.
Much better. So at first you couldn't seem to remember, and it kind of bugged you, and you just used that manipulation of time as you're able to rewind a little bit, and you remember now. Dragon meat, yeah, it's absolutely edible. It takes a while to cure. You actually have to let it age for close to a month before the meat is edible. Now, before then, you can eat it. It's just like eating pure capsaicin.
Ugh.
But after a month of curing, the meat becomes very, very edible and quite a delicacy, actually.
Well,
You see, what is it, Hermes from Futurama coming up being like, hey, can I get some of that uncured?
Yeah. I actually Googled it. I found a YouTube video all about dragons and what you can get off them and that sort of thing.
Nice.
All right. Well, I'll help to bring it ashore.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a little bit labor intensive and probably takes you a good amount of time in the afternoon, throughout the afternoon, to get this dragon to shore. But you do eventually manage to get him up to the shore, and there are as I said, this is a fishing village. There's people there who are willing to help gut and clean this thing, and you could probably make a fairly good deal with them just for some meat and some scale and bone that they'll help you skin the thing if you want.
I'm going to be that jackass who's not actually, physically helping, but helping by sitting on the sidelines and telling everybody how to do what they're doing. Because I figure, I might know how to properly do it.
Hey, Cameron, wasn't there something you were trying to achieve when this dragon came into town? I thought you and Blaznir were going to go talk to that woodworker.
Oh, right. It was a thing,
So-
wasn't it?
Yeah, indeed. I don't intend to stick around this town any longer than we have to, so...
Oh, so I take it you're not interested in attempting to find the rest of this dragon's treasure?
Not in the slightest.
But they have, a lot of treasure.
Not when there's undead crawling around in a town very nearby.
There's no undead around here. It's fine.
In a town very nearby, such as Coltrast Keep, the one that we are going to.
It's like a day's ride. What are you talking about?
If it's a keep, can it really be called a town?
There's a town around the keep. Weren't y'all paying any attention?
No, we're just arguing logistics with you so we can go.
Yeah, I am of one mind, so if y'all want to go to the dragon lair, you can take a boat and do it your damn self.
Well, that was the plan. We're just asking if you want to try.
Goodbye.
So as the dragon is being skinned and cleaned, Ichabod, just in annoyance, says, "Nope, I'm out," and stalks off, walking away from the beach.
He likes to do that quite often, doesn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, he does.
He does.
If nothing else, even if we hurry from this town as to Ichabod's wishes, we should at least ensure that there was no more missing treasure from whatever these fishermen obtained. Anything still in the water or what have you.
I could turn into an octopus and look down there.
Might be useful.
I mean, I can look without turning into anything.
But I can look for longer. I mean, yeah, you can hold your breath for a while, but I can breathe underwater.
Why not both?
I mean, yeah,
Two sets
we
of
both
eyes
can-
instead of one.
Yeah, we both can look. And I also want to grab some of those dragon scales. Do I need, I just want a random amount.
So what I was going to tell you guys is this dragon, very big, very large. Not an adult, but it was getting close to that age. With your 24 Arcana, which is what I'm using to examine the dragon, as I said, not a full-grown adult, but it was getting pretty damn close to it. And it's probably a bit more stronger, bigger, more powerful than your average young dragon. So, Cameron, you can tell this is pretty close to an adult. You have enough hide and scale cleaned off the dragon at the end of the day to basically make 2 suits of dragon hide armor.
Ooh, what kind?
Would it be scale mail?
Yeah, it would be. Yes, literally dragon scale mail. You have enough to craft it. You would have to find somebody to make it, but you could. But it would definitely take the price down because you have so much. So you can put down that you have enough dragon hide for 2 suits of scale.
Okay.
And it is topaz dragon scale. You can take as many larger scales as you want. If you just want 5 or 10, you can just put those down on your inventory sheet. Dragon teeth, there's probably a good 60 of them. And there's 3 claws on every foot, so you can do the math and take what you want.
Is there a way to make a shield out of dragon scales?
Theoretically.
Yeah.
I think that'd be nice if the scale mail, if we don't need 2 scale mails, but that's for a later conversation, I guess.
You don't have 2 people who wear armor?
Well, I don't know what. It depends on what if it's light or medium or heavy armor.
Scale mail is heavy.
And then there's not very many people here that wear heavy armor.
I don't think
2.
Willow would want draconic armor, as it probably wouldn't be better than what he is currently equipped with.
Yeah, And again, it's only if we don't need both scale mails.
Yeah, I think she's got plate, right? She has like
Yes.
full plate.
Yeah,
I have
half
splint.
plate.
I have splint, so scale mail I think would be better.
Yeah, I don't wear armor, so.
Let me look up some armor.
Yeah, it's something that you guys can look up in your downtime. You don't really need to do it during game, because obviously you need to have somebody who could craft that sort of thing.
Scale mail is actually medium armor. 14 plus your dex.
There you go.
With disadvantage on stealth.
It's limited on dex, right?
Yeah, max 2.
Yeah.
So it would not be better. Throw that shit in the garbage.
Well.
Now, Cameron, you did have something else that you wanted to get made while in town.
Yes, we are heading to the woodworker.
So, heading to the woodworker.
I'm gonna cast Enhance Ability on myself.
Okay.
Because I believe I'm helping you persuade this guy.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give myself advantage on charisma.
By that we mean that I'm helping you persuade this guy.
Yes.
Well, the two of you head over to the woodworker, and when you arrive, he does greet you a little bit more warmly since the last time you were there. Obviously, word has gotten around town in the last few hours that the dragon has been drug in, and he's definitely seems much more amiable to you all as you approach. You said you just wanted like a spinny wheel that you can be strapped to, right?
Yeah, with like a platform thing so it can actually like sit on the ground or stand on the ground, you know.
Sure. Go ahead, Blaznir. Just make your persuasion with advantage. I'm not going to take too long on this.
Enhance Ability on myself, but
What'd you get, Cameron?
Who?
Blaznir.
26.
26. So, yeah, with the 26, you come to an arrangement where for 30 gold, just the cost of the supplies and his time, he can have what you're wanting done and brought to your cart by morning.
Okay, cool.
Nothing too complicated about it, and the fact that you all just defeated a dragon and saved the town, he's not looking to make any money off of you.
Mm-hmm.
All in a day's work.
Is there anything?
I'm better at talking for a bit. Do you want to try to, I don't know, do something with that? I've got an hour of this, and it was completely useless.
Yes, I'm gonna take one of those topaz dragon scales, and we're gonna go find. Who would it be? I guess maybe a metal worker.
I don't know.
I was gonna find somebody to do engraving.
You're probably not gonna find somebody to make jewelry or do too much. Like if you're just wanting something engraved into a dragon scale, you could probably find somebody to do that.
Yeah, that's all I'm looking for.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I was misunderstanding. Yeah, you could probably find somebody in town who does engravings and things like that. There are woodworkers there who make boats. So absolutely. What are you wanting them to do?
Well, this is a religious town as well, so I'm just taking him a big old dragon scale and saying, "Hey, can you engrave the symbol of the Father on this?"
Okay. Yeah.
Blaspheme.
Yeah, absolutely. You could get that done, and they're not looking to charge too much for 2 gold. They can get get a pretty nice looking engraving of the basic symbol of the father in the dragon scale. They are pretty damn hard, so it does take a bit of work, but they're reasonably confident they can get it done within the day.
Yeah.
I mean, a dragon scale's big. It's like it's size of a small Nerf football. So I mean,
the size of a small Nerf football.
Yeah, come on,
Americans, they'll use anything but the metric system.
Come on, everyone's seen like the little mini Nerf footballs.
It's just a funny random comparison.
Sorry, usually when somebody says they'll use anything but the metric system, the only response is something about, unless you're talking about, grams of weed or the millimeter of their pistol.
This is true. That is very true. But anyways, is there anything else you're wanting to do? It is starting to get closer to dusk at this point now. The dragon has been pretty much broken down. There's meat that's currently being left out and in the water of the ocean itself to kind of salt cure.
Brian,
Mm.
Did Shokan have a chance to look and see if we had missed any treasure?
Oh yeah, that's.
Yeah. You guys found what the fishermen had brought with them.
Okay. And I know this is probably a stupid question to ask, but the dragon didn't have anything like on him personally, right?
In his dragon wallet.
Yeah, and
no,
well, there was this really big backpack that the thing was wearing when it flew in, but in the course of the battle, it was swept out to sea.
No, I'm talking like dragons can use magic items too. Come on now.
Yeah, they can, but no.
But then wouldn't he have used it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Some of that stuff can just be like numerical static bonuses. Maybe it was, wearing something to give him a bonus to his saves or armor class.
No, it is
breakers of defense on.
It is true. Some actually older dragons, adult dragons and beyond, when they're at that age, they can polymorph themselves into people, and especially topaz dragons, actually do go out and travel and act as adventurers. And kind of wander about. Now at that point, I would agree they probably would have items on it. But this was not an adult dragon. He was not polymorphed.
Fair. I just figured I would ask.
Yeah, there's no harm in asking. Hold on one second. My children made me tea and are bringing it in.
How wholesome.
What kind of tea?
It looks like it's tea, Earl Grey, hot.
Ooh.
Captain Picard, are we?
Yeah.
Tea, Earl Grey, hot. I don't mind that. Picard's one of the two captains that I grew up with.
Look at my mug.
Picard and Janeway.
Freaking Janeway. Alex and I just finished Deep Space Nine yesterday. That finale literally made me cry.
My all-time favorite Star Trek.
It's amazing. Also, I drew the symbol of the father.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
Victoria's jam was always DS9. I never really watched much of it growing up. It was always TNG or Voyager.
Hey, now's the chance to get into it. It definitely, I think it held up better than TNG and Voyager.
I started watching TNG with my grandmother as a little kid when we were first airing it, and fell in love with it, and then went back and watched the original.
Mm-hmm.
And then once DS9 came out, I was just watching it religiously. All the time. I loved it. Anyway.
Join us in our after show where we just talk about Star Trek for another 3 hours.
Right.
Y'all have fun with that.
color changing.
I could do that. You have to join the Patreon. You can get that special bonus content.
Oh, okay. We really should do an after show. I've talked about it a few times. I'm not going to lie.
I like after shows where you discuss what happened in the session and theories and stuff. I think makes for a better, because then you get to hear everything that we think.
Yeah, absolutely. I love doing that sort of thing. If you guys actually wanted to do that, we could schedule one.
Depends on how long we're talking.
But let's get back into the actual adventure.
Yep.
So you guys were able to get as much dragon scale and teeth and claws that you all wanted to. You have the hide. You have the things that you wanted worked on currently being constructed, and will probably be ready by about midday the next morning. Is there anything else anybody's wanting to do, or are you guys just going to go back to the inn and rest for the evening?
I was hoping while my enhanced ability spell was up to just kind of put on a little performance to try and make some money.
Make some money in the inn.
Yeah, I dig on that. There is absolutely carousing that you can do. Let me pull that up.
What are you doing? I'm an entertainer. Well, what's your act? You pay me so I don't burn your village down.
I mean, I have a little show, but I mean, yeah, mostly.
It's doing the show that burns the village down.
Pay me so I don't burn your village down.
That doesn't happen too often. I mean, there was that one.
It was only once, okay?
No, there's two. Three.
It only ever happens twice.
Three towns, all right?
Which is not that many, but it's strange that it happened more than once.
So anyway, Blaznir, you begin. What are you wanting to do to perform for everyone? Because most of them have spent the day working on the beach, helping to bring in the dragon and taking it apart, that sort of thing. By the evening, everyone's kind of leading you all back towards the inn. Promise of drinks, that sort of, and free food and a free night stay. And most of the villagers seem really just happy to hang out with you all, toast and cheer you. You're still being hailed as heroes and that sort of thing. And once you get to the inn, Blaznir, you have tons of people watching. Damn near the whole village is trying to crowd their way in that tiny inn. And there's a lot of people pushing in on the windows and that sort of things too. So you have the opportunity to do whatever you want, and all these people are watching. So what are you wanting to do a performance?
If we're in the inn, then I'm just do my normal, just play some jaunty tunes on my lute. Have Kyan out and dancing and just kind of interacting with the crowd.
I like it. Make a performance check for me with advantage.
Oh.
Yeah, 15's not bad. Don't forget to call out your rolls, though.
Yeah, no, I was just stunned.
Still, 15 isn't bad. These are common folk. They're very, very. They're very poor. They don't really have a whole lot, and they don't have performers coming in playing at their inn very often. So 15 is great for these people. You begin playing your lute. The entire inn just is absolutely in love with everything you're playing. You hear plenty of people calling out the name of your group, which you finally have told everybody who you are and what you're doing here. And drinks are all passed. Anytime your hand is empty, a drink is passed into it. And you are just the talk of the town, the heroes of Turna, as it were, the the defeater of the dragons.
Mm.
Now,
this looks a lot like the sin of pride to me. So I think Ichabod turns in a little early. have to say my nightly prayer.
Brie,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
when you're in the inn drinking, do you have your hat on or do you take it off?
In the inn, I think he
Yeah.
probably wears his hat.
Okay,
If I'm in a church, I'll take it off.
that's
If
fair.
somebody important arrives, I'll take it off. Or if there's a lady about, then I'll take it off.
Not bad. So over the course of the evening, Blaznir, playing your lute, having your wildfire spirit out dancing around the inn, you've managed to make about 26 coppers.
Alright.
hmm These are very poor, simple folk.
Yeah.
Paying you out. That's actually quite a lot of money for them.
Yeah, no, that's good night.
Anesthetic's in chat right now, sending us some bits. Say hi to Anesthetic, everybody.
Hello.
I
Addy.
eat the bits.
Looking for my in music. Anyway. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I think we're all going to go to bed anyway.
Yeah, you all are. I assume nobody has anything else they want to do for the evening. Willow, this entire time, has kind of just stayed to herself.
The only thing I do is I say my nightly prayer, and I ask to be forgiven for my sin of rage. When I was fighting the dragon, I was very pissed off. So I have sinned today, and I ask that I be forgiven so that I may start the next day with a fresh, clean slate.
And your prayers, if nothing else, always do seem to soothe your mind and make you feel a little bit better. You know, the endorphins kicking in.
Yeah. Thank you.
But everyone eventually makes their way to their bed. Food and drink and lodging is on the house tonight. The heroes of Turna. And you get the sense that you're probably going to be welcome in this part of the world anytime you pass through. Eventually, you all fall asleep, have very pleasant dreams. Maybe some a little bit about the dragon, maybe some just about anticipating the journey ahead. But you all eventually wake up refreshed and feeling pretty damn good about yourselves as you get up and ready yourselves for the day. You can head down to the inn. Breakfast is provided. Simple things of porridge and fresh fruit and cheese. Maybe a little bit of egg, but not a lot because, as I said, this is not a big town. But with that, the day is yours. So, what would you like to do today?
I don't care about the egg, but I'll be happy with the fresh fruit.
Edmund comes down eventually and joins you all, and enjoys some of the fresh fruit and porridge as well. And he says, "Are we all ready to head out this morning, or does anybody have anything they're wanting to do here in town?"
I believe they said the contraption would be ready midday.
I think they said in the morning. I wasn't there.
I think they would. They said they'd put it in our cart when it's ready. So
Yeah, what did they say, Matt? Was it morning or midday?
I said pretty much everything will be ready by midday and brought out to you.
Okay, yeah.
So you have a little bit of time, but not a lot.
Midday. Everything should be ready.
if you guys need potions, I can show you to the herbalist, old friend of mine. If you know.
Do I have a need of potions?
I also still have these potions I've yet to give out. But
I think I'm feeling pretty confident, unless she's got like a silencing potion? Because if we have to do any sneaking, that's not exactly in my wheelhouse.
I'm not sure if that's a potion.
Yeah, I don't think so either. It's not often I do partake in the potions. So
No, you don't seem like a potion kind of man.
yeah.
But I mean, I have those kind of capabilities myself. So, you know.
Fair enough. I figured invisibility would not be very helpful, considering you could still hear the ching 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 of my armor as I step.
I could make a fog cloud if that would help. Edmund speaks up.
Well, we'll see when the situation arises. I'm hoping that there will not be too much need of stealth, but it would be nice if y'all could come through for me. And I hear Willow might struggle with that as well.
We can put like a kind of like cotton around your chainmail, or you could just take off the chainmail for a bit.
It's not. It's splint. It's splint, and also no, I will not do that. Thank you.
Blaznir, don't you also have a spell that can make everyone be quiet when they're near you?
Oh yes, I do. It's just, I mean, it still makes a little bit more noise, and it's not as stealthy.
I did not mean to send us off on a tangent, but should the need arise,
I don't understand how you didn't think this would put us in a tangent.
Yeah, I'm starting to realize this, that y'all ain't very direct, and I would prefer to just get to where we're going and end up there.
Yeah, but there's the dragon cave of to the north.
The dragon cage can be our victory lap when we are on our way back.
I somehow doubt that.
But yeah, direct, you've never met a fae, have you?
You've never met an entertainer, have you?
Hey Matt, have I met a fae? Considering I lived right by the fae portal.
I would say yeah, you've probably met a fae.
I have met quite a few of your kind in my day. And let me just tell you, they're not my people.
What do you mean, my kind?
I give you that look where I'm looking down my nose at you because you're really small. So, and then I scoff and walk away.
He really just likes to walk away. That's all he does.
I'm sick of talking to you people. Let me know when you're ready to get on the road. And I go over to Salvatore and give him a carrot.
But then anyway, yeah, she has flying potions and invisibility. I don't know, whatever you need. If you need anything.
Hey Matt, I sent you a message.
Okay.
Would a potion be something that you would still have to maintain focus on if the effect normally required it?
I don't believe, but I'm not the DM.
So what was your question?
If an effect normally requires concentration, like say for example fly, but then you drink a potion, does it still require your concentration?
That's a good question, actually.
I don't think so, but
I also
not
don't
sure.
think so.
Let's see. 5e does a potion.
Everybody look it up.
Ratio.
It does not say on the potion that it requires.
Here we go. Sage advice. If a potion doesn't duplicate a spell, does it require concentration? A potion's effects require concentration only if its description says so, or if it duplicates a spell that requires concentration.
Mm.
Well, it's on the potion of flying. It says specifically, when you drink this potion, you gain a flying speed equal to your walking speed for 1 hour and can hover. If you're in the air when the potion wears off, you fall, blah, blah, blah. It does not say anything about requiring concentration on it.
Cool.
Now let me look one more thing. Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, are you planning on heading over to the alchemist?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, that would have been useful for the dragon fight. Wow.
Well, anyway, midday eventually comes up. The carpenter does bring you all an odd kind of contraption, a gigantic wheel on a rod, and then another kind of like a tripod looking thing, but all worked around in wood, that he basically shows you how you're supposed to put it together and take it apart each time, and takes you about 20 minutes to go through this whole process. But you do now have a collapsing strapped wheel. I don't know what else to call it.
Neat.
The engraver also comes and finds you and hands over the dragon scale that he carved for you, with a cool little symbol of the father that Brie currently has on her microphone that everyone can see right there.
Neat.
Mm-hmm. So with that, everything you have everything you were wanting to accomplish here. You gather up your wagons once again and set off, heading for Coltrast, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
Okay. As you all head off down the road, those of you... Who's driving the wagons, by the way? Shokan and Blaznir again?
Yep.
Certainly not me.
Sure.
So with Shokan and Edmund in one wagon, Blaznir and Cameron in another, Ichabod on his horse, Salvatore, Willow on her horse, the Cameron, your pony, being drugged behind, attached to the wagon. You all set off going south, heading in the direction of Coltrast. As you're all leaving, Edmund puts the horn to his mouth, the horn from the orcs, and blows on it. And you hear that loud reverberation of the horn just as you're all leaving. And when he does this, the entire crowd of the village that came out to watch you all leave kind of just cheers you one last time. Once the cheering has finally died down, Edmund turns to you all and says, I do hear them. They are a little bit farther south. I think we might be able to meet up with them again by this evening.
Sounds good.
Excellent.
Okay. And as you all make your way out of there, I'm going to move you to a different map. There you go. As you're all leaving, heading on down the road, you all kind of look back one last time at the village of Turna. You still see some of the people waving to you all, cheering you and just thanking you one last time as you leave. The dragon, the thought just kind of tickles the back of your mind as you're all leaving. Where did that dragon come from? Where was his lair? Would it have even been possible to find somewhere out there in the ocean? But that's for another day. For now, Coltrast awaits. And all your thoughts begin to focus back on the task at hand. The first thing is meeting up with the Red Tusk Orcs. You left at midday. And I'm going to go ahead and pop up a map for you all so you can see where you are. That should have popped up now. As you can see, you are in Turna, heading south along the road to Coltrast Keep. Judging based on when you left, you'll probably get about a little less than halfway there by nightfall. Another day of travel, and you'll probably reach the edge of Coltrast within, say, probably the day after that. So you're looking at arriving at the village itself towards evening, but not so late that you couldn't get into town.
Okay.
Unless, of course, you stop and take a long time.
Oh, hey, I think I see something over there. We should stop and just kind of look at it.
Yeah.
Is it the Red Tusk Orcs?
What? No, look at it. It's pretty neat.
Well, then it is of no concern of mine.
But Ichabod, look at it.
I just like trolling y'all.
Have you considered?
But your day's journey goes by relatively uneventful, other than Blaznir randomly pointing out things that are interesting. Hey, look at that tall rock over there. Wow, that tree is gigantic and by itself on a hill. Oh, look, there in the distance, I see a cloud. A cloud's moving in that direction. We should go check it out. But everyone's like, nah, dude. No.
But there might be something cool because of it.
I mean, I'm enjoying what he's doing. Ichabod's probably getting a bit pissed off, but I'm just kind of laughing at the whole deal.
Reciting some prayers to myself.
Some prayers of strength of will.
Yeah. Hey, I think a church of the fathers over there.
I'm sorry, what?
Look, it's over there somewhere. Definitely. Look at it.
Blaznir, don't you know it's a sin to lie?
Oh. Apparently, I did lie. I'm bad at lying, so.
Terrible lying.
Did not take proficiency in lying.
Yeah, you just gotta get more points into your lying skill.
That's just another one on the long list of sins that I'm sure you have and have not apologized for.
Listen, I'm going to be real with you. I don't believe in the gods.
Don't believe in them, or you don't worship them?
Don't believe in them. I've never seen one.
Well, it's not a question of belief. They exist whether you believe or not.
And, if the gods wanted me to stop, they would have come down and stopped me already. So...
I'm sure you'll get your comeuppance.
Oh, I'm sure. It'll be fun. Quite entertaining, honestly.
And as you're all kind of debating about whether or not the gods even exist, you eventually find yourselves camping out for the evening. You scope out a little place not far from the road, behind a little bit of a hill that'll at least block the fire from the road itself, and you all settle in for the night. As you're all camping, Blaznir's probably still talking about whether or not the gods exist.
Still blaspheming.
Yeah. Most of the group is ignoring you. But eventually, as the sun is starting to set for the evening, you do hear a loud, sharp horn blow that just...
Edmund, not while we're trying to sleep, please.
Edmund says, it wasn't me. And just in that moment, you hear the thunder of hooves. You don't need to make a perception to hear this. It's there. And come rounding the hill, you see 24 riders on horseback. Large, big, beefy, muscular beings in shades of green and gray. All of them have war paint, bright red war paint on their faces, on their arms, on their chest. Only some of them wear armor, but not all of them. But as they're riding closer, this group halts, probably about 50 feet from the fire. And they all just kind of eye your group, one by one. In the center is a very big orc. A woman. Long tusks, holding a long, I believe it was a spear? Let me double check that one. Yes, that was right. Wielding a very long spear on her back that definitely does not look orc made. Beside her is another orc woman. This one's smaller, much more frail, in long fur robes, with bones and beads woven through her hair, and face paint as well. The two of them climb down from their mounts and walk towards your group, but then stop about 30 feet from the fire. And they all seem a little confused by your group.
Morning. Oh,
I
nice,
suppose
actually.
this must be the orcs that we were to meet with. I look at is it? I remember your name. Is it Shokan right now?
Yes, Shokan.
Yes. Okay. I look at Shokan.
I stand up because I recognize them and kind of explain briefly what has happened.
Edmund, too, comes running, walking up, and he does say, Bonebreaker Docklax. It's been some time since we've seen each other. And the orc woman replies, how many... Do any of you speak orc, out of curiosity?
Nope.
Not that I know of.
Nah. Undercommon, primordial, and so on.
So, none of you actually understand what...
Yeah, look at that. I don't.
Yeah. So yeah, none of you understand what...
I cast understand all languages on myself.
Yeah,
I
you
believe
don't
that's
have that
first
spell.
level. I think it's a first level spell, so.
Yeah, you don't have access to that spell, I'm pretty sure. But you do hear the orc saying something. And you hear Edmund. You hear Edmund replying in kind. The two of them talk back and forth to one another. And eventually Edmund turns around and says, "It's okay. Let's all head over to the fire." The Bonebreaker accepts what we're saying for now, but has questions.
Fair enough.
Sure.
Why not? Got nothing better to do.
I suppose you wouldn't mind asking those questions in God's own tongue, though.
Who says God doesn't speak Orcish?
It's a turn of phrase.
Assume that the gods would speak some sort of ancient language that were we to hear it, our very heads would explode from their power.
Well, there is Celestial. I've heard a couple people speak it, but I believe it's God's own language.
The orc kind of just watched this whole thing and scowling. She does eventually kind of sniff a little bit. I don't know. Celestial.
Please do not speak.
That's all right. This language you're speaking right now will do just fine.
The common tongue.
I remember you, boy. It is good to see you looking well. And I remember you, Tortle. I don't know the rest of these.
I'm Blaznir. I'm kind of the only one who's actually a circus member. So.
Ichabod Sykes, servant of the Father.
Cameron.
And Willow also introduces herself. And over the course of the evening, while all of you begin or sit down to eat your own meal, the rest of the orcs dismount and begin making camp nearby. Reassure the the orc woman who is with Bonebreaker Darklax, she does go over and kind of talk to him for a little bit while Darklax herself sits there and is more talking to you guys at the fire. You eventually smell roasting meats as these orcs apparently have brought down a couple deer and are currently cleaning and roasting them on their own fire nearby. As I said, you all sit there and begin explaining what had happened to the group, your plans to help Edmund regain his land and that sort of thing, and the vision Ichabod had for getting Edmund to that. Now, Darklax at first doesn't really speak a whole lot other than asking questions. But eventually, as the talks die down and all of you have your meals on your laps and they're sitting around the fire chatting about it, she does eventually say, "Now, when I made a deal with this original group, I said that I would help them defeat a common enemy. That was Veritude and those Star Knights of his.
Who should very well be present here at this keep.
Maybe so, but hiding in the edge of the forest, waiting for you all to flounce about the town, do those human-y type things. That's not what we agreed upon.
I assume even one seasoned veteran as you can understand the appeal of having greater numbers to one's own enemy. Without the support of the townsfolk, we may very well be overwhelmed."
Oh, I can appreciate that, and I can appreciate you needing us. But that's just it, isn't it? You need us. And her chest is kind of puffed out a little bit as she says this.
Let's not make a fool of yourself here. Just, we need you, but
She kind of looks over to Ichabod, the more clear, seasoned veteran of war. She says, "Now you seem to be the type that have seen many campaigns. So
Seen a few.
So then you can appreciate this. My men need to be fed. My men need to walk away from something like this with some coin in their pocket, or some proof, or something to show for their efforts. So, what's in this for us, besides killing somebody?"
Well, I think you'll appreciate that I have saved the most fun part for you. You don't have to be in town with us as we flaunt about, and frankly, you draw too much attention. So hopefully the flaunting will only take about 1 day. After that, we'll signal for you guys to come in which case you just rush in and you do what you do best and fight. Anything on those men that you fight, you can take with you, and I promise you, you will have your share of the riches when we return.
Edmund speaks up at this as well, and he said, "Well, now yes, anything on Lord Veritude's men, I agree. But at the same time, the town still has to survive. We cannot allow any sort of looting of the town or harm of the civilians that live there."
Yeah, that much I agree with. And I doubt that the civilians really have much of value for y'all to take anyway. But yes, anything on Lord Veritude's men, and then hopefully y'all will be able to work your way past that second wall there with us and be fighting the Star Knights and perhaps even Lord Veritude himself, should you make it that far. In which case, those riches, I'm sure my young Edmund, becoming Lord of the land, will have much to offer you.
How about this Bonebreaker? Your group, what I understood, always lives in the mountains, just going from place to place. As Lord of Coltrast and its surrounding lands, I could provide you a permanent settlement, place to live on the land and have your own place. Would that be amenable? Darklax thinks for a little bit and she says, now we have wanted something of our own, this is true. These lands do seem to be rather fertile. She kind of holds up a chunk of dirt that's from nearby.
Well, orcs can garden.
They're quite good gardeners. Have you tried their tea?
Can't say that I have.
Oh, you should try it.
Do you have any tea on you? Did you
Bring out the tea.
Don't put yourselves out on my behalf.
I will pay you to put yourself out for this tea.
Oh, a few minutes later, the shaman comes back from the orc side of the camp, holding a big metal iron teapot. She walks over and says, I can't. Going from Edmund to orc is difficult.
Yep.
Yeah, here you go. Here's some tea for y'all. And she starts pouring this out, and it smells earthy and very fragrant. You can definitely pick up some rosemary in there, but there's definitely an earthiness to this as well as she's pouring this out, and more of that piney, needly aroma hits your nose as she gives everybody some of the tea.
Oh, absolutely beautiful.
People are distracted, right, Matt?
Yeah, I'd say so.
I'm gonna do that thing then.
Okay. Go ahead and make your sleight of hand check.
Sure.
Are you dumping it out?
Nope.
Doing AC.
That is... Okay, is that just going to be standard?
I don't see why not.
Okay.
Do you have a reason it could be something else?
Well, just they're talking and chatting and distracting each other with conversation and tea. But sure.
Yeah, I can give you
23.
On that. Well, yeah, there you go. Ichabod, go ahead and make a perception check for me.
All right, I'm not very perceptive.
I'm guessing a 23
I don't
think
look
that
at
brings
things.
a 23 passive perception as well. So
what's that?
I think that goes over my or it doesn't go over it. It's my passive perception, so I don't think I see it. So.
Well, okay, so
if it's the same as your passive perception, then yeah, you would.
Yeah,
you would.
I would.
Yeah, because it's the 23 is the DC. So if your passive perception hits the DC or higher, you would see it.
Well, I was thinking my passive perception would be the DC.
No,
because he's rolling.
So
no idea.
So it varies. There's a lot involved in it, but so here's what's going on. Your group is sitting around the fire. The orc shaman has just walked around and handed out everybody tea. Ichabod seems to be more like unsure of himself as he's looking down in this
I
mug.
cast Purify Food and Drink.
That's an insult right there.
Yeah.
That's a big ole insult.
And while I have no reason to trust these people, and I inherently have a distrust of non-humans, so Purify Food and Drink.
And while Ichabod was casting this spell, Cameron just very subtly moved around, just got up and was kind of walking around, and as he walked by Ichabod, Blaznir, you just notice out of the corner of your eye, he slips this large dragon scale into the buckle of Ichabod's hat.
Yeah, now, like Ichabod in front of it.
Yeah, just this big, basically, yeah.
Lovely.
Basically, yeah, Ichabod. You don't notice this because you're just sitting there talking to the orc, trying to convince him that this is a good deal for her. But something's a little bit heavier on your hat. But you
The
didn't notice
the
that.
weight of my sins is bearing me down.
Yeah, it is, because Darklax just she watched you cast the spell on the tea, and nothing happens. You cast the spell, and it goes
Well,
through.
pure.
There was no poison or anything to it, so you don't
Unless it's
detect it removing anything. But do you take a sip?
Yeah, I'll sip it once I know it is pure as the freshly fallen snow.
It's got an earthy, piney taste to it. It's mostly made out of pine needles and rosemary and some type of mushroom that they dry. But it's not bad. Could definitely use some sweetener. A little earthy.
All right, I take exactly one sip and then I say, "That's fine tea," and then I set it down.
I've got to ask, Miss, would I be able to buy some tea off of you? I love tea, and I'm trying to grow up a bit of collection. Honestly.
Oh, you like tea? I love teas. Come over here. Let me show you what I've got. I've got quite a few over here.
Please.
And she kind of walks you away back to her little camp and pulls out a bag.
I stay very on guard because I don't exactly trust these guys, but
I look over at Blaznir as he's walking away and say, "Share some of your tea with her," and wink.
You're getting Fontaine's sloppy seconds.
and as you all make really bad innuendo to this orc's wife, Darklax says, "Land would not be bad, but I need something to show my men that we're making a profit here. Something in the way of, magic. Now, if, say, one of you were to offer something, I can show my forces that we're making a profit on this campaign. We would be willing to follow you and go through with this little plan of yours."
All right, give me just a moment to speak to my men. And I kind of gesture for a huddle.
Orcs like to drink, right?
Good old-fashioned orc huddle, or circus huddle, I should say.
I'm over here grabbing tea. I'll be there in a second.
Darklax says, "You take the night to speak with your people, and I'll do the same with mine."
All right. Well, thanks, General. Half mocking.
She gives you a dirty look, and she says, "Bonebreaker is fine."
All right. Bone breaker.
She walks back to
Boner breaker.
Yeah.
She walks back to her squadron. What you probably, Ichabod, since you're a man of battle, you've dealt with orcs before. Go ahead and give me an insight check.
All right. 16.
So you would know that what a group this size is typically called a fist. It's basically a war band.
Fist?
Yes.
I'm a fist.
They're war bands. They're smaller than say a clan. It's mostly led by one war chief, and they tend to have different names based depending on what kind of group it is. But Bonebreaker is more than likely a title of not like chiefdom, but as war captain or.
Oh, okay. So Bonebreaker is not her name; it's a title.
It's a title.
Okay.
Yes, her name is Darklax. The title she was giving, Bonebreaker, is actually a title of authority.
All right.
Do not attempt to piss her off too much. We do need her to help us give a good fisting to the Star Knights.
I've no intention of pissing her off, though I have no intention of making her friendship either. So what do y'all think about that offer? I've honestly got nothing of magic I'm willing to part with.
I could give her
these
one card
creatures.
of my deck of illusion.
But is there anything in the general bag of items?
Orcs like to drink.
I would assume so.
They definitely do.
We could offer them the ability to essentially produce their own infinite amount of alcohol.
Oh, what have you got?
We have this alchemy jug that can produce beer or wine.
Mm.
I think the orcs would go head over heel for that.
Honestly, I think that's a good trade. I know it could be a useful item for us, but in the grand scheme of things, I do think having their help it'll be even more useful.
Yes, it technically has a limit based on what you make of it. It's, I believe, 4 gallons of beer an evening or 1 gallon of wine, but it refreshes itself every day. So
they could always make more, and that's just a show of the riches that they will have.
Yes,
they did ask the same thing the last time we were with them too. They wanted something to show that to show the men that they're getting a 1-up, basically.
to show that they are moving on up.
Exactly.
To a side, easterly or otherwise.
And if that's not enough to convince them, we could always give a show of those fancy dragon scales if you're willing to part with some of them.
I did not take any myself. I just took this 1 claw right here. And
yes,
take anything.
Those dragon scales are quite fancy.
Yes, they're visually appealing.
Yes,
I've took several dragon scales. I would be willing to part with.
And we said that we took enough for 2 full sets of scale mail, so I assume we have a lot.
I stuffed that in the party treasure. Yes, dragon scales can be quite visually appealing, especially when placed upon one's clothing for added effect.
Oh yeah, that. Yeah.
Hold on.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'd say that Edmund, hearing Cameron and Blaznir say that, he looks at the 2 of them and glances over at Ichabod, and his eyes just kind of go, "Oh, yes, I see what you're saying. That they are quite lovely, aren't they?"
Why are you looking at me?
Oh, I was just thinking to
Do I
myself,
evoke the image of a dragon to you? What is?
I was just thinking how lovely you would look in dragon scale armor. The immaculate knight in golden armor.
Oh, is it? Are they gold scales? I was just about to ask what the color was.
Yeah, they're topaz, so yellow.
Yeah, it's literally the gem, so like a bright yellow gold.
Yeah, I suppose that would be quite striking. Though I must say I have no desire to be gazed upon, such as you are doing right now. So please stop.
I start staring even harder at Ichabod.
There you go. That's a picture of Topaz.
Now, Blaznir.
Edmund's just kind of laughing, trying to hold his hand over his mouth as he's laughing.
No offense, Blaznir, but I'm just not interested in you like that.
I'm not either.
Well, quit your staring. I know I do cut a striking form, but
oh yes, I'm sure. I'm sure you think that.
Willow has been eating her food, and she just sniffs and goes, "Men," and goes off to bed.
Well, ladies, or should I say, little girls?
And she flicks you off as she's walking away.
So vulgar. Well, since we've all come to an agreement, it is about time for my nightly prayer, so I should bid you all good night.
Yes.
I tip my hat.
Yeah, I'm sure that when you do go to bed, Ichabod, and you take off your hat, you do notice the dragon scale with the carved emblem of the father in it, somehow stuck behind your belt buckle.
Now, can I determine if I think it looks good?
Do you think it looks good?
It's on
I'm
the
like-
front where you can see it easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I look at it, and at first I'm annoyed and embarrassed, and then I'm like, it's actually pretty cool. And so I just leave it.
I like it.
No, actually, I'll take it out, and I'll put it in my bag.
You'll put it in your bag? Okay.
Yeah, because I'm not going to let you continue to laugh at my expense, but I do think it's pretty cool. So
I do got to ask you, Cameron, couldn't you have done something a bit funnier than the father symbol?
It wasn't intended to be funny.
It was just
Well, it
funny
was.
that Ichabod didn't see it.
Yes, I just think it'd be, a bit more humorous. But I guess not to make enemies, but...
like when you're a really stoic guy, anything you do to him is funny.
Yeah.
Not looking to make enemies.
Ichabod is over there. You can just see a little bit of candlelight from his tent as
You see the outline of me praying?
Yeah. You just see him praying and probably self-flagellating every so often. And...
No, I have not done anything worse. We'll get there. We'll probably get there.
And Ichabod, as you're kneeling there praying, you feel the sense of the Father and the comfort of the Father come over you. And the gods seem to be smiling on you today, so you have a point of inspiration for today.
My sins have been forgiven.
And I think that's a great place to take a break.
Yay.
Okay. We will be back in about 10 minutes, folks, so stay tuned. Howdy, everybody. We are back from break. And when we last left off, the Debauchery Circus had camped about a day's journey north from Coltrast, preparing to enter the town and scope it out. They have been met with by the Bonebreaker Darklax and the Red Tusk Orcs, a group of warriors, of mercenaries, who the circus had agreed to work together with. Looks like we have been raided today, so welcome everybody into the show. We're happy to have you here, and we're going to be picking things up right where we left off. So, Debauchery Circus. As you are all sitting there chatting with each other around the camp, you've discussed handing over one of your magical items, the alchemy jug, as tribute to Darklax and payment for their help in this next campaign. So, what are you all wanting to do?
I think it's beyond time to turn in.
I agree. You all eventually head off to bed. You set your watches. Cameron casts his dome. And overall, you have a relatively easy night.
Unless, of course, Ichabod gets bit by that snake again.
No, I'm keeping an eye out for snakes now.
Actually, the snake followed us the entire way.
No, I chopped its head off.
Yeah.
Totally did. Ichabod gets up in the morning first to say his morning prayers, and as he goes to put his boots on, there's a snake in his boot.
No, I'm checking.
No, that's fine. But you do eventually wake up, have your breakfast, and as you are all preparing to start out for the day, Bonebreaker Darklax and the shaman comes up to your group, and she says, "Very well then. You've had a chance to talk things out. So what is your decision?"
Here, take this as a small token of appreciation and a start to the rewards that you shall receive. 'tis a magical jug that can be commanded to produce a variety of things, beer and wine included. And while it does not produce an never-ending amount, it is always replenished daily so that you might continue to have what you wish of it.
You hand over this clay earthen jug, and the orc looks at it dubiously. Make a persuasion check, Cameron.
Can he make it with advantage since we're all helping?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Blaznir, why don't you take?
Hey!
Hey!
I rolled a natural 20 for a 19.
Dang it.
I like
Why don't you give it a try? I think you'll find something even more tasty than that tea you shared last night.
And with a 19 persuasion, the orc kind of looks at it, looks over to her wife, and you see the shaman reach over and cast a spell that, Cameron, you would recognize to be detect magic.
Yep.
She
And
whispers,
I mean, you know.
she whispers into the orc's ear, and you, Cameron, probably can take a moment to explain how it works.
Yeah. Basically, it's not infinite insofar as it doesn't make as much as you want all the time, but it makes some every day.
It's infinite, but slowly.
And it can make all sorts of other useful stuff, you know, poison and mayonnaise and oil, whatever.
And mayonnaise.
Apparently.
Yeah, it actually can. The orc commands it to create ale, and watches as the thing just bubbles up to the surface, filling with a bright amber-colored liquid. She takes a sniff, takes a drink, and just chuckles and laughs, and she says, "Ha ha 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 ha! This'll do nicely. The boys'll love this." She turns back and hands the jug to the shaman, who just holds it up and yells in something in Orcish. All the orcs, the other 24 big beefy creatures, all turn around and go "Ah!" in the language that none of you understand. But they all come rushing towards her, and she's just pouring out dollops into each of their mouths, and you see some people, some of them spitting it out and showering it amongst themselves, and it's an interesting spectacle.
The simple minds of simple folk.
Cameron breathes a sigh of relief, not because he didn't think this would work, but because, well, whenever the -1 charisma character has to make a persuasion check, it's a little dicey.
How meta of you. But
I mean, he knows he's not good at talking to people.
Yeah, he knows.
Definitely. But the orcs seem pleased, and Darklax says, "So then, we wait for a signal from you, and then attack the city."
That's true, but make sure you don't hurt any of the civilians. They should be pretty easy to identify, and they should be running in the opposite direction.
And you'll have the doors to the city open. That way we can get in.
Well, that's the goal, is to have the doors of the city open, but you might have to fight your way through some guards.
Well, there's going to be guards at the door, regardless, but
Yeah.
we'll try to have the doors open. And I've got this spell where I can make a symbol in the sky. So just look for the sky for the symbol.
What symbol are we going to be looking for?
A good question.
Make it be a big dagger.
That's in the Dominus. I don't want to.
Yeah, that should be ominous.
Hey,
Can you make it a red panda like your friend?
Well, I can't color it, but I was thinking, Edmund, does your family have like a crest or anything?
Yes, we
Ooh.
do actually, Blaznir, and he opens up his own documents, the writ of inheritance that shows that he is in fact the son of the late Baron Coltrast, and sure enough, it does have his family seal on it.
All right, then this would be the symbol. I think letting the people see that it's a Coltrast thing then might make
That's
this
true.
it's not like Oh my gosh, orcs are attacking. Oh, hey, Coltrast is coming back.
And we can also use that on our illusory script to tell the people once they see this symbol that now is the time to make their escape.
That's
More like
a good idea.
Coltrast.
Anyway, I start loading my horse up.
We've been right along to that horrid pun.
We're losing daylight.
Indeed, we are. I think this seems like a good plan. So, at Bonebreaker Docklax, your forces will wait in the woods outside of the town and wait for Blaznir's signal. When you do, you come out and assault the city. Just assault the guards, those who are loyal to Lord Veritude. Anyone who claims loyalty to us and fights on our side, obviously don't kill them. And the orc just kind of is like, okay, whatever. Like,
promising.
Just
Try
try not to
don't
kill
put your fate in
people you
in the hands of animals, but that's all right.
These aren't animals.
Blaznir definitely heard that.
Blaznir definitely heard it, but I'm packing up anyway.
Blaznir has a ridiculous passive perception, so
Yeah.
of course he heard it, and is just kind of glaring at you as you're gathering up your stuff and putting down your tent. But with the agreement made, the orcs definitely seem much more jovial and gather up their stuff as well, gather up their horses, and seem prepared to follow along with you all as you make your way towards Coltrast. Now, popping up the map for you all so you can see that. And I'll go ahead and actually show that to the audience as well. But you guys are all about halfway between Turna and Coltrast right now. It's going to take most of you another day's journey to arrive, but you should be arriving in Coltrast Keep sometime relatively close to dark. Now, are you planning on going with the orcs, or are you going to send them off separately?
Probably separately.
I'd say that we should begin traveling, and then they should wait about 30 minutes or so, and then follow behind us, so that should anything happen, we aren't associated with each other.
Yeah, definitely would be a good idea.
And we aren't going to need them until one day hence anyway, so they can take their time.
Okay. And with the agreement made, your groups heads out, going south on the road towards Coltrast Keep. You leave the orcs with the promise that once the sign is given, they'll be coming and aiding you in whatever it is you end up doing inside Coltrast itself. Now, your day's travel goes by relatively uneventfully, other than the fact that every few hours or so you do encounter people traveling on the road. Most of them seem to be heading away from Coltrast. You'll see groups of 2 or 3 men and women both walking. Occasionally you'll see someone on a horse, but not too often. No wagons or anything like that. Just people traveling, carrying what meager belongings they seem to have, walking down the road in a very sullen and despondent kind of way.
Perhaps we should have a word with some of these travelers.
Probably, yes.
All right. So I guess I'm walking out front, right?
Probably.
So I'll as we pass a group of sullen-looking travelers, I will wave my hand to them and say, "Hello there. I see you are moving away from the town of Coltrast, and that is where we are headed. I was just wondering if you could give me an idea of what it's like there currently." Is that a weird question?
Yeah. No, not at all. Go ahead and make your persuasion check.
All right.
I'll give you guidance.
With guidance.
So that's a D4.
Well, I'm gonna need it. Ooh, 14.
14. You go up and ask about the situation, and the person that you stop is a middle-aged man walking with what's clearly his wife. Both of them they don't seem old in the face, but their hair is dark gray. And they seem to have much more wrinkles around their eyes, and their eyes seem to be much more sunken in, as though they don't get a whole lot of sleep. And with a 14, the man stops as you hail him, and he says, "The situation is quite bad there. We are heading north, looking for something, some work or something. There's very little work to do these days in Coltrast that is outside of the keep itself, and I'm far too weak to work there now."
I see. What kind of work are they having people do inside the keep?
They hire up anyone who has strength, and they're excavating something underneath the keep itself. Mostly digging through stone and earth and transporting it out of the keep to the west from there.
I see. Well, I thank you, sir, for that information. And if you should happen to pass through the town of Turin, I believe it was called, I suppose they would probably have some work for you. Tell them that the heroes of Turin have sent you. And then I want to give them a couple gold pieces.
Are you talking about the town we were just at?
Yeah, it was Turin, right?
Yeah, Turin. That was Turin.
That's right. I give him 2 gold pieces.
And you give him 2 gold pieces. And the gold itself, like, his eyes just grow wide at the sight. This is so much. I can't possibly accept
Please,
this.
sir, I should want you and your family to survive the next few days. But look for work in Turin.
Thank you. And he sees the emblem of the father on your clothes, and he does say, "Blessings of the Father be with you, sir. Thank you
and
so
with you,
much."
my friend.
And he and his wife and daughter go skulking off down the road. And as they did, you look back towards Edmund, who the moment you called over to him, he transformed, and he currently looks like a dwarf right now. Yeah, he's taken the lessons of your group to heart, and he doesn't transform into anything like in the outlying towns, but the closer you're getting, the more he's transforming. He's using a hat of disguise to make himself look like a dwarf. Yes.
I'm gonna go over to Edmund at some point while they're talking about excavation and such, and I'll just go, "Have you ever heard of anything beneath the keep? Legends or stories, myths? Anything dangerous?"
Honestly, no, I haven't. My family has a crypt underneath the keep where my ancestors are interred, but outside of that...
Considering their use of undead liberally, it doesn't actually bode well that you say a crypt.
Edmund, how do you feel about fighting your great-great-great-great-grandfather?
Yes, that's what I was about to ask. Like, because without a doubt, you're going to have to fight some of your family members.
Edmund opens his mouth to say something, but this is a 14-year-old kid, and his mouth just like,
Fair enough. Let's continue on our way with that in the back of our minds.
I believe we might have slightly broken his brain for the moment.
It's good that he knows beforehand so that he can come to peace with it.
Yes, because he might recognize somebody, especially since they recently killed his mother and father. That is
all right. Maybe we should end this conversation.
Yes, let's go.
Yeah, you're dumping a lot on this kid, and he's obviously never thought of that possibility before.
Towards the end, Cameron's probably just putting a hand over Blaznir's mouth as he keeps talking. It's like,
Yeah, this little rabbit folk is just standing up on the cart with his paw over Blaznir's mouth as Blaznir just won't shut up about it.
Shut up!
and they might make you fight your mom and dad, and they're gonna revive your dog only to kill it in front of you again.
Why is this like
Okay.
eventually? Don't just constantly talk.
Wow. But,
I just say too much and then realized I said too much.
yeah.
Famous quote from Blaznir: "I don't just constantly talk."
I don't
Where?
constantly talk.
There's no evidence of
I do eventually shut up.
For me, it's not about the constant talking, it's more about the specific things you're talking about.
Yeah, no, and I realized that, like, I realized
now we're
way too
constantly
late.
talking about how we don't constantly talk.
Well,
Yeah.
look, I'm trying to defend myself.
Quality television, everybody. Quality television.
You signed up.
Moving on.
But with that thought weighing heavily on young Edmund's mind right now, the prospect of fighting great grandma, he does say after a little bit, I will say that at least we only have a few generations of our family that actually lived here in Coltrast Keep. So
I feel like that's worse because you might recognize some of the zombies.
Were they interred with anything particularly powerful?
Oh,
well,
Personal possessions?
The men of Coltrast typically would simply be interred with ceremonial clothes and that sort of thing. Perhaps their weapon of office, but rarely armored or anything like that. We don't believe that we take our possessions with us when we die or anything like that.
That's
So-
at least good.
We tend to just we would inter the members of our of the barony itself. So my father would have been interred there if he would have died normally. My grandfather was interred there. His father, and so on and so forth. But beyond those men, not many are in our family crypts. Maybe less. I would say no more than 8 men themselves.
Okay. Well, that is good information. Thank
the
you.
main question is, like, do you want to have to fight your father as a zombie?
No,
That's
that
not a
absolutely
question.
sounds horrible, Blaznir.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Why don't we
it's-
cross that bridge when we come to it?
But also keep in mind, you're putting him at peace. You know.
They were at peace.
Well, you're re-putting them at peace. So,
Let's just hope it doesn't come to that.
I hope to whatever I pray to, because I don't.
In the gods you don't believe in.
Yes, I hope in the gods that you all believe in.
Fair
That's
enough, Blaznir. Fair enough.
You know, maybe Veritude has some respect.
And as you all continue on down the road, and Edmund's just thinking about this, he just looks up after a moment and just says, "I sure hope those poor folks didn't run into the orcs that were following us. That might not be good."
Or do you suspect that the orcs are killing people willy-nilly on the street? Because then we might have another problem.
Let's hope not.
Well, we
Yeah.
haven't heard a scream, so not that we're going to hear a scream, but
But anyway, you all do continue on down the road towards Coltrast. And your time goes by rather silently at this point. Edmund definitely has more on his mind now, thanks to Blaznir. But
you're welcome.
your group eventually does make your way throughout the rest of the day into the evening, and as the sun is beginning to set, you do spot at first the tall wooden fence, wooden walls on the outskirts of Coltrast Keep. Now, I do not have a map for this yet because I haven't. The program that I have doesn't do it the way I want it to, and I haven't been able to make one. But I'm just going to describe this for you a little bit.
Sure.
The village itself, as you all stop to look towards it, the first thing you can see is the tall stone wall of the upper city, built up on the slopes of a tall hill, with the keep itself its highest point, with towers just slightly butting up over the upper wall. Below that, you can see a decent-sized village sprawled out around this level of around the upper wall itself, and kind of built out around, growing outward from there. Farms and such at the outer edge. And it looked as though this had all been built over quite a long time, hundreds of years at least. But the thing in front of it that looks fresh and newly built is this tall log wall built around the entirety of the outer village itself. It's not big enough to call a city, so I suppose town would be a better size description to call this. You're estimating probably around anywhere between 1,200 and 2,000 people possibly live here in total. Not the hugest place you've ever been to, but large enough. Most of the village, at least the upper village that you can see, is made of stone. Though the farther out you get towards the edge, you can see a bit more made of wood and thatch and things of that nature. But the farther inward you get, the closer towards the walls, the architecture becomes a bit more Baroque and Gothic. Dark gray stone makes up most of these buildings, including the wall that you can see and the keep beyond it. Edmund, from his position on the wagon next to Shokan, looks up at it and he says, "Now that is a sight that I have not seen in over a year now. But it is good to be home."
Soon enough, it'll be yours again.
Now, the land around the city, you can tell was once mostly woodlands, but has since been stripped clean and bare, giving the outer wall of the city a very large area of open land between it and anything else. You can
Cameron
still see. Go ahead, Cameron.
At this. I was just going to say Cameron probably looks a little angry at all this deforestation.
Probably.
So does Blaznir.
Oh yeah, definitely Blaznir. You can still see quite a few stumps where they've cut the tree down, obviously to make this gigantic wall around the outer city. But the logs themselves are rough, as they haven't been worked very much. You can still see the bark and stuff on the logs of the outer wall, as though they just cut them down, stripped them of branches, and hauled them up. This was a very piecemeal job that they did. But the size and the scope of it, it's you all can't help but wonder, how did a small village like this put up something like this so big so fast?
We did also get reports that there was a trench they were digging outside that was incomplete at the time. How's that trench looking now?
Go ahead and make a perception check.
I will. Perception. That's a big 5. It's getting dark out here.
It is getting dark out there, and it's kind of hard to tell. You can see along the outer edge where some of that has been dug out, and you can see a little bit of the depth of it. You can't tell exactly how far across it is, but what you can see is that for at least the good 200 or so feet around the gate itself, the trench has not gotten to that point yet.
All right. Okay, interesting. Well, I think I'll kind of come to a stop since I'm in front. Come to a stop near the edge of this forest, but before we enter this clearing, and say, it was my hope that we could scope this place out a little bit beforehand. I'd like to know what we're dealing with at the gate, and if there's a patrol on the outside of the wall. What do you guys say to camping out outside one more night? I feel like if we go in at night, we'll kind of be in their playing field, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I'm afraid this would take us from our primary objective for far too long.
All right, Cameron. Duly noted. Anybody else have something they want to say?
I have no problem staying out here tonight myself. I actually had a request as far as that went.
Sure, Edmund.
Blaznir,
Yes.
Cameron, the two of you
Yes.
have magical abilities. Could either of you transform me into, say, an owl or something?
Yes.
So, have at it, Cameron. Didn't prepare that spell today. I mostly prepared like stone abilities.
Let me see. I need to look. Alright. Let's see. How large would you like to be?
Something smaller would be better, actually. I was hoping to take an upper tour of the village and possibly scoping it out a bit.
Right, no giant vulture then.
I was thinking more of something with that I could see in the dark, perhaps an owl or a bat.
Yes, I can actually do that. Though sadly, I think it's going to take me a 4th level spell slot to do that, but that's okay.
Well, we're about to rest, so...
I can also
Yeah.
turn myself into an owl, so we don't have to waste a spell.
No, I'll use polymorph on him.
Well, Blaznir, would you like to go zoop?
And I'll make it an owl since the bat is hearing based and their sight is not so good.
Yeah, that's probably a better idea.
I'm gonna go with the kid. So and I'm an eagle now.
All right, nothing wrong with two people scoping it out. We'll be setting up camp while y'all are doing that.
Yeah, because you can actually do it a lot longer than he could. Polymorph just lasts an hour. But
Yep.
if you're wanting to transform as well, you could spend a few hours flying over this village, Blaznir. Well, let's see. It goes hamlet, village, town, city, right? Yeah, I think so. I think it's more of a town than a village. Village is under 1,000 people. Anyway, I digress. But with Edmund in owl form and Blaznir in eagle form, the two of them fly off into the sky as the sun is slowly starting to dip down. The rest of you make your way towards into the forest a bit more and find yourselves a nice quiet place to set up camp for the evening. Owlman Coltrast? Why not?
Yep.
Ha, 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 ha.
What a funny guy, honestly.
So, Blaznir, since you are going along with him, why don't you go ahead and make your perception check with advantage as an eagle?
Yep. And I get my own perception, because... 26.
Okay. The two of you flying into the air start circling around the town, checking it out. The first thing you can see, obviously, as you make your way over the wooden fence, it's that it is very tall. At least 40 feet tall. There are 3 gates in total. One that heads to the north, one that goes east and west to either side of the wooden fence. So there are 3 entrances in total to the town. The outer edge is mostly farms. You count about 24 in total around the outer wooden wall of the village, or of the town. Sorry. You see some wheat growing. You see some corn growing. It's summertime right now, so they are starting to get fairly tall. And there's a few other things as well, and some you see horses as well as cow. From there, you get into a little bit more houses, mostly made of wood and thatch. But the closer you get towards the inner wall, the actual stone wall that makes up Coltrast Keep, the houses definitely start becoming more of that dark gray worked stone. You kind of start flying low, scoping out the different streets and that sort of thing. And you can see people moving about. And as it is evening, lights are beginning to be lit up in street lamps along the major roads of the city. And or village, or town, or whatever it is. And you can start to see some of these people. Most of them hunched shoulder, heads down, moving as quickly as possible from place to place. You can also see quite a bit of the guards moving about. And there are a fair few. You can recognize them by the bright green cloaks that they're wearing. I'm sorry, they're not bright green, more of a dark green, like darker than
Neon green.
said. Yeah, they're not neon green. They're more
like
of that
really,
darker
really
foresty
green.
green. But you can mark them out as soldiers. And there are other things you can see as well. Shambly individuals, all wearing chainmail and conical metal helmets, just moving in that slow shuffle that Blaznir, as somebody who has a pure hatred of the undead, would immediately recognize as zombies.
Yep, I poop on one.
Absolutely. Go ahead and make a dexterity check for me.
Yeah, this is gonna go a lot better than last time. It's not. Oh wait, no, I can't guide myself on this form. 19. Oh,
19, definitely. You've since now that you've had some time in eagle form, you're getting the hang of this, and you just lob that turd flying downward to splat onto a zombie's helmet. And it does look up, and when it does, you can see that pale, sunken-in, rotted face and missing teeth, and it just looks horrific. But it is definitely a zombie. Every 4 or 5 blocks or so, you see a much larger shape. Easily double the size of any man. Moving about in squad that it's basically it. You can see it followed by a squad of 4 other individuals, at least 2 of them human with those dark green cloaks, but the other 2 shambly, which tells you those are zombies as well. But the big men, you swoop down to take a look at them, you realize that these are ogres. Zombie ogres. However, you're also getting a closer look at them as you fly by in your eagle form and Edmund following in his owl. And you're picking up some of those descriptors that the group had told you about. odd-looking vines going around their muscles and through their bicep and through their chest. Places that you thought at first were just intestines dragging along the ground behind them, but you're realizing now are vines and branches and things of that nature. You're seeing firsthand what you've been described to so far, the interweaving of plant in with these zombified forms, bolstering them, fortifying them, armoring them almost, but keeping them moving somehow. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's horrible.
Your group, you and Edmund, circle high overhead and begin making a larger swoop around, and you're counting. And since you rolled so high with your perception, I'm going to tell you that you see a total of 8 of these zombified ogres in different places throughout the town. Each one having a squad of 2 of the men in the green cloaks and 2 of the shambling foot soldiers that you believed or assumed to be at this point zombies.
Right.
They seemed, every time they walk anywhere throughout the town, townspeople themselves shy away from them and hurry to get away from these zombies. That you're kind of getting the idea are patrolling the town looking for trouble.
Yeah.
As though these are the enforcers of this town. You fly high. Go ahead.
Are the zombies mostly staying around like the ogres, or are there also zombies, like squads of zombie, like kind of around town? Without.
Anytime you see a zombie, you also see a human going with them, as though they're like the herders or the keepers. You never see groups bigger than 4 of just zombies, but there's always at least one human going along with them. You have any other questions before I move on?
That I can think of.
Okay. After flying over the lower city, you begin circling towards the upper city, the walled one. The stone-walled one, I should say. This area is much richer and much more built up than the lower city. Buildings have 2, 3, even 4 stories to them. You can see at least 6 mansions, some 4-story tall structures in among these smaller buildings as well. All of them are made of stone. All of them that dark gray worked stone that gives this area a very gothic feel to it. There are less patrols in this area. You see groups of soldiers along the inner wall, walking along the parapets. You do see some small groups moving about the upper city streets, but it's definitely not nearly as many as the ones in the lower city. And in this area, you're not seeing a whole lot of undead. You see a zombie here or there along the inner wall. You do see some groups of soldiers walking, a squadron of probably a good 12 or more zombies out from the castle itself, Coltrast Keep. It's not really a castle. It's just more a tall, square building made up of stone, which as you're circling it now, you can see, you're counting out the windows, and you're guessing there's at least 6 stories to the keep itself. There is one tall tower to the western side of it that goes up another 2 stories beyond. And there's a smaller tower in directly the center. Or not the center, I'm sorry. I'm looking at it directly in front of it. In the center of the front wall, there is a tower, and then there's another one in the back western side. Does that make sense? Am I describing that right for you?
So the one in the back west is the one with the additional 2 stories?
Yes, and then the one in front is just basically, you see the square building, it juts outward in a circle, in a half moon cylinder that goes up, and it just is topped with a tower about the same height as the rest of the structure, just with a bit of a conical roof on that. And then behind that, to the west, in that corner, it goes up another 2 stories.
All right. So the back one is taller than the front one?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Actually taking notes for once.
Me too.
Blaznir, as you're circling around and flying, the darkness is growing, but you are able to start seeing people leaving the keep itself. There is a large double doors that are open right now. You can see at least a dozen guards standing guard, watching the people as they make their way out, but you're just counting groups 4 here, 5 there, of commoners leaving the keep as the sun begins to set. You watch as they walk out of the keep through the upper portion of the city to that gate. They are stopped by guards and checked one final time, like actually physically searched, TSA style, and then they're allowed to pass before they make their way to the lower town. The sun has gone down at this point, and Edmund is beginning to fly his way back towards the group. You realize it's probably close to an hour, and he needs to make his way back before he turns into a person again.
Yeah.
Do you want to continue on looking, and are you looking for anything in particular as an eagle? Since you have 8 hours, you have plenty of time that you can search, but it is getting darker, so it is a bit harder to see at this point.
So I think I'll keep on looking, and then once the 4 hours hits, if I think there's anything else interesting, then I'll just change into an owl. It's the 4 hours hit. But I'm kind of looking for maybe places where it'd be easy to get into the keep. And stuff like that. Maybe different areas in the city itself or the town, whatever. Where we can fortify ourselves.
Well. So the wall of the inner city itself is it's not a perfect square. It's kind of oblong shaped, but the keep is built into the very back wall of it. The very southwestern side of the wall is where the keep has been built outward from there. You do see, besides the front, the double doors of the entrance, there are a handful of other doors as well. Servants' entrances and that sort of thing, one on either side, and another one on that back western tower. You can see an entryway there. All of them are guarded.
Yeah.
They do have... What's that?
Any of them less guarded than the others? It looks like they're not as important.
They all... Besides the main entrance, which has half a dozen guards watching it, the one that has the least would be the back one at the tower. There are 3 individuals that patrol it. There's 2 that stand on either side of the door itself, and then there's a third who makes just a wide walking sweep out about 50 paces to either side and then back around again. There are also entry points on the roof as well. As I said, it is a big square building with one tower to the front and another to the back. Both of those have entryways to the flat part of the keep itself. And there are soldiers who patrol there as well. At the top of the tower, in the very back, there is a large, round window, completely encased in glass, and you can't see anything on the inside. There is no light or anything like that. You actually stop and fly by it a couple times to look, but there is no light inside, but you can see that it is a big, round, at least 8 feet from end to end, circular window, completely encased in glass.
Where did you say this was?
On the back tower, the back western tower.
Okay.
There is, like I said, the doors to either towers that go onto the roof itself as well. Is there anything else you're looking for, particularly, Blaznir?
Again, maybe somewhere inside the town itself where we can, like, once the attack starts, we can just kind of hold up if we're, if we need to retreat back. Just some defendable spot.
So, in the upper town itself, the biggest, most defendable buildings are those 6 mansions. They're positioned around the outer city itself so that all of them are within equal distance of the keep and equal distance of each other. You kind of get the idea that they were built specifically so that no one of those mansions are in a more favorable position than the others.
Yeah.
But there are 6 of them.
I'm guessing these are heavily guarded as well.
They do have guards. Each one has a gate and a little walled courtyard around the mansion itself. And there is a guard at each gate, and there is at least a couple more guards patrolling the grounds themselves that you see on your flyby.
Is it like it wouldn't be as heavily guarded as to keep it, like...
No, not at all.
About how many guards with?
Like I said, you saw one at the gate into the grounds of each mansion, and there's at least 2 more walking around the grounds that you can see. It is getting darker, so it's harder to keep count, but this is what you're able to see with your 26 perception.
This is also at night. So
yeah, so it is getting a little darker, and since it is getting darker and Edmund's gone, go ahead and give me one more perception check. You do not have advantage on this unless you changed into an owl by this point.
Has 4 hours been up? Yeah.
No, it's probably only been about 2.
I don't need to really stay up, or I don't need to stay for 8 hours because I'll get exhausted.
No.
So, yeah, I'd say I would be an owl at some point.
Okay, fair enough. Go ahead and make your perception with advantage one more time, since it is night.
25.
Still pretty damn good. Okay. So yeah, that is what you're able to see so far. There's at least 2 people protecting and patrolling the grounds around the mansions. There's 1 more at the gate, guarding the gate themselves, even at night. Now, outside the upper city and the lower city, there is an obvious Church of the 5 Temple. It's the biggest stone building in the lower city. It is not guarded per se, but there are the patrols that wander about the lower city itself. There is at least 2 large buildings that you recognize to be inns or taverns. You're in eagle form and you're flying high to not be like obvious that you're patrolling or searching, so you don't know what they're called. You don't see their sign or what's on it, but you do see two buildings that are at least 3 stories tall themselves, half of which is made out of stone that you're guessing are probably inns, judging by how well lit they are, the sounds coming out of them. You can hear a bit of faint music playing, but it's somber. It's not like that joyful, raucous music you're hearing. It's more like, I don't know, the harp and the flute, just that low, somber, kind of quiet and dejected sounding music that you might hear.
Is it a law here to be unhappy?
Definitely seems that way.
Okay.
Apart from those are the three largest buildings in the lower city. You can also see a blacksmith there. There's also a general store, that sort of thing. But those are the main buildings that stand out to you as you do another flyover. Is there anything else you want to glean from this before you start heading back?
I'll probably try to get the general layout of the city in my mind at this point, just so I can explain it a bit, quite nicely to my companions, and so, just find the quickest routes to specific places as well.
Yep, I'll have a map. I'll have a map to you for you guys next week. I might just end up hand drawing it since I can't make it on my program the way I want it to be, but I'll have something out for you guys. That way you can draw a rough sketch for them, for the rest of the group, and give it to them.
Yeah,
that's no problem.
Okay, and at that point I'll go back, kind of tell everyone what I saw.
Okay.
Yeah.
You come flying back to the rest of the group, who by this point has started a fire and made a meal and are preparing to bed down for the night. Edmund, I'm sure, has told the group what he saw, but Blaznir definitely has much more information to pass out once he returns.
Mm-hmm. And I assume you just share it. We don't have to reiterate everything.
Yeah, we don't have to reiterate anything.
So there's 8 ogres. 2 of them, they all have 2 guards and 2 zombies.
All right, please don't.
But the question is,
if Blaznir doesn't remember it, we don't get to know it.
I'm sure Blaznir could have all succinctly explained what I just did. But my question is, and since we got about 15 minutes left in this session, do you have any other additional plans you want to set up based on the knowledge that you now have?
I will simply suggest. I know Blaznir had said that he had some way to get through the stone. If this keep is built into the stone on one side, that might offer the most direct route. Otherwise, it would be interesting if we tried to be employed in much the same way as those commoners are employed. I'm assuming they're leaving in the evening, so I assume that they go back in the morning, and the gates are open at that time.
You could perhaps pass for one of them, but I doubt that I could.
The only problem is that they check for weapons and stuff when, I'm assuming they do when they're going out, so they probably do when they're going in.
Yeah.
So that's the only
those
thing.
Are just some thoughts that I had. But I am thinking that if you can shape stone, and Sir Edmund can tell us what's on the other side of the wall, I assume he knows the inside of the keep, then that might be a good way of getting through.
It's gonna drain me of my higher spells, but better than not having weapons in there.
Yeah,
so.
And besides, that's what the spells are there for.
Why would stone shape drain you of all of your spell slots?
Because it's the 4th level, and I have to.
I can cast it.
Well, yeah,
Well, we've got a myriad of options, and we'll probably need it a couple of times as well. I'm assuming that wall might be a little thicker, but there's no telling really until we get there.
That's what I'm about, because I have plans for taking out some of the zombies in there.
Mm-hmm.
But anything's fine. I don't know.
So, it sounds like the front the gates are guarded. What are we going to be telling them once we go up to the gates?
Well, if you're talking about that first initial gate, Yeah, we've set that in motion. So we've got our paperwork, and we're hoping that that'll be quite enough. If not, then we'll have to sneak in, burn the wall down, get the orcs in a little earlier.
Ooh, let's just do that. I'm up for doing a total siege on a village. I've never done that before.
Well, I like the idea of. I think I would prefer that there be not much fighting until we get into the keep itself, because if we do any fighting in the lower district, that's just going to tip Veritude off as to our presence. So I assume as soon as we get in the keep, it's going to be a free for all, But while we're in the city streets, we want to try to help those people and get in as deep as we can.
So where should we? Go ahead, Blaznir.
I feel like somehow Veritude's going to realize that someone's trying to, undermine his rule either way.
Totally. It's not that he's not going to figure out. We just want him to figure out as late as possible.
I'm just saying, with the whole, giving, or the whole performance trying to get riled townspeople up, something's going to happen.
Yeah, fair enough.
But either way, I do not want to.
I say that we go up to the gate in the morning. We go up to the gates. Yes, we wait. We sleep out here for tonight. In the morning, we go up to the gates and we present ourselves as the circus that we are. We go in. We pick one of these inns or perhaps a church. I am welcome.
I do have a question. Does the Port Leon fellow you guys or Shoji or not Shoji? Shokan. Yes, I can't remember. But did he know that you guys were the Debauchery Circus?
I don't think so.
I feel like if somehow he did, then the name will be a problem. Because hey, the Debauchery Circus is in town, and he's like, oh, isn't that the guys that attacked one of my Star Knights? And it's like, yeah.
Out of character, I think we had this conversation already. I'm pretty sure we've had this conversation.
I can't remember it, but
I'm pretty sure we had this conversation and said that there, at no point during that battle did we go, and we're the Debauchery Circus. It was just like he walked in, was an asshole, you guys fought him, and then he left, and then we attacked him at a later time, but we never announced ourselves or had anything to indicate that we were a circus. And
there's one.
I'm out of character right now.
You couldn't have announced anything because you weren't in the room.
He might have learned at Duskhowl, because we did tell people that, hey, we're the Debauchery Circus at Duskhowl.
Well, speaking of, Ichabod Sykes do have a problem with this name, Debauchery Circus. Why can't we be like the sanctified circus, or
No circus is sanctified.
Something that's less debaucherous.
I don't know about you, but I would say debauchery is pretty much your group's go-to anywhere you go.
Thank you, Edmund.
Just saying, Ichabod.
Well, we can speak to the people and just call ourselves a circus. We don't have to be.
No, we have to.
But if your issue is that we're presenting ourselves as a circus, that would have been great to mention about like 3 sessions ago.
Oh yes, listen.
That would have been the time to bring it up, but
I just now thought of it.
Yeah,
but I will interject just because to make things easier for you. Sir Portleon, he called you guys a circus, but your group never called yourselves a circus. He just walked up and made the joke. I see the circus is in town. He was making fun of you, and the continued use of the circus trope was why you guys started calling.
We co-opted it as our own.
Mm-hmm.
There's still the possibility of because of Duskhowl that somebody would know that hey, the Debauchery Circus, aren't those the guys that kind of screwed up our plans in Duskhowl?
All right.
I don't think it's a big enough thing to worry about.
No, I don't think so either, but just putting some sort of vibe out there.
But anyway, you guys all get up for the morning, like I said, have your breakfast and prepare yourselves for heading towards towards Coltrast. As you do head out, you can see the gates to the village or to the lower town begin to open as your group arrives. There is a few people that are heading towards it as well as you're making your way down the road. You do see some people. There are houses on the outside of the wooden wall. I don't want to say it's completely clear, but it's mostly. But you do see a few people heading towards the gate. They're through by the time your wagons do arrive, and those of you who are driving, pull your horses up short as you make your way towards the town, towards the gate. Now, I even have a map for you, so I'll take you to that right now.
On the way, I would like to suggest to my allies that once inside, when we need a place to stay, we could either stay at one of those inns, or I do have Shelter of the Faithful, which would let us stay in the Church of the Five if we think that'd be a safer location with less prying ears.
But the inn is fine.
It would let you stay there. I doubt it would.
It says you and your adventuring companions can expect to receive free healing and care at a temple of your faith.
I do not remember the priests who run the Temple of the Five here in Coltrast, but my father did say that he did rely on one of the priests' council.
Oh.
So perhaps we can ask around and find out who the head priest is.
Yes, that would be good. And if we know that they are loyal to Coltrast, then perhaps we could bring them in on our evacuation efforts.
When your group heads towards the gate itself, you're stopped by these soldiers who are wearing green cloaks. Now that you're in front of them, you can actually see them. Most of them are human. There is one dwarf towards the back. All of them are clad in pretty much similar getup, either chainmail or leather. All of them have the same helmets, but the one in front that's coming up towards you does not seem to be wearing one. He does have his cloak thrown over his shoulder, his one hand kind of lazily touching his sword, but the other, his hand is up and just kind of calling you to stop as you all pull rein your horses in and stop at the front gate.
Can you make it daylight? I can't see nothing.
Sorry.
I see my horse.
I see absolutely nothing.
There we are.
There you are. Sometimes I forget that it did set it to night. That's my bad.
Oh, there we go.
Now, as you make your way up to the gate and the soldier stops you all, he calls out, "This be Coltrast. Who be ye? And do you have papers to enter?"
That we do, sir. We are a traveling circus sanctioned by the king, as you will see, and then I present to him our papers.
Okay.
Yeah, we are traveling across the land, hoping to raise morale in these difficult times.
Make a deception check with advantage, Ichabod.
All right. Deception check with
guidance.
advantage. With guidance. All right. I will deceive. Ooh, double 16s. 20.
20. Dirty 20.
Dirty
Okay.
20.
The guard opens up the writ you guys all had earned from the king, and he looks it over. Seems to scowl a little bit as he's reading it, like he doesn't want to believe this.
But it's so true. So painfully true.
So painfully true. The guard looks up and says, "The king is sending circuses out now. That seems a bit strange."
Well,
We
there's
are-
nothing like a...
For the king, like we're the king's personal circus and stuff.
Yes, and it does quite a lot to quell a restless populace, to bring them some entertainment.
Everything here seems to be in order. Are you're setting up your circus in town? Is that right? Oh, well, okay. I suppose you'll have to speak to the Lord about that. Go ahead. This is more than I have to deal with. Let him in. Let him in. And he turns and go ahead and make a perception check as he's yelling up to the gates.
Oops, I actually made it with advantage, but that's 15 for my first one.
That for Ichabod or everybody?
Everybody can make that, but a 15 honestly is enough.
10 is not going to do it.
No, 10 is not going to do it. So, Ichabod, you definitely saw this.
What do I see?
Shokan rolled a 10 as well. Don't forget to call out your number.
I got a 23 because I used guidance on myself.
Okay. So, Ichabod and Blaznir, you both see this, and you sense it at the same time. As those gates are beginning to open, you see a head peek out over the wall. And Blaznir, you notice that conical cap, and your eyes go straight to that face. That is definitely a zombie up there right now before that head gets pulled backwards and the gates begin to open.
Mm-hmm.
I feel a shiver go down my spine as I fight the urge to just blast it.
There will come a time. There ain't no zombies getting out of here alive. That's
the
I
gates.
start muttering to myself in Druidic. Just, okay, it's fine.
The gates do open, and the guard is kind of moving backwards to let your two wagons pass, which you do have to go one at a time to get through. These aren't the widest gates ever, but you do make it through. And there before you lies the poor village that is, or town that is Coltrast. And that's exactly where we're going to end things tonight.
all right.
So, thanks to everybody who's watching. Thank you to Manapot Studios for rating us. We appreciate you tuning in. Feel free to come back sometime. We do this every Monday at 3 o'clock. So on behalf of the Debauchery Circus here, thank you for tuning in. We absolutely appreciate you hanging out with us. We hope to see you again.